Good day, everyone. I am Gershom, and we are now going to unpack another episode of Going Beyond the Surface. My previous videos were on healing, on letting go of shame, of forgiving yourself, letting go of things that you have been carrying for years, where you sat in the pain, you cried the tears you thought you would never stop. You prayed through nights that felt they would swallow you whole. You went back and faced things you would have given anything not to face. You forgave people who never even apologized. You learned how to put down the shame you had been carrying since you were a child. And now you're standing on the other side of it. So this video is for people who decided to take that healing journey and to rebuild their lives. This is what nobody warns you about. Once the healing starts to take root, once the weight begins to lift, you wake up one morning and realize something that is both exciting and terrifying at the same time. You do not know who you are anymore because you have now let go of all of those things that helped you or formed part of who you are. And now you've let go of all of that, all this that was keeping you going in a way, all these things that you were holding within you, and now you've healed through it and you've let go of it, and you get up one morning through this healing process and realize that you don't feel like the person you used to feel like. And that can be really terrifying. The version of you that was held together by survival, by wound-driven hustle, by the need to outrun your own pain, that person is gone. When healing takes place, that person no longer exists. And you are standing in an open, quiet space, wondering what comes next. Let me tell you something, that feeling right there is not a crisis. That is an invitation. That is the doorway into the rebuild. And today, that is exactly what we're going to be walking through together. Very often, we are guided through how we heal. We are told and how we can forgive. But when it comes to coming out of all of that, coming out on the other side, very often we are unsure of what next and what to do. And this is what we're going to talk about today. What happens now? What happens when I'm healed? What happens when I'm no longer carrying shame or fear or unresolved issues? What happens when I'm now emptied out from all of this and I'm healed and I'm feeling complete? If you've been with us to the last few videos, you know we have been talking and walking through the healing process, releasing shame, releasing guilt, forgiving yourself for the things you did when you were just trying to survive. And that work is sacred on its own. Just taking that step and doing that work, like I've mentioned before, not a lot of people choose that path because it's difficult. So the fact that you did that and you're choosing to heal, or that you have healed, you should give yourself a pat on the back, because that's not easy to do. And it's also not work that can be rushed through. But today we step into the next chapter, because healing is not the final destination. Healing is the clearing of the land that we now build. It gives you the space. Like I mentioned in the previous video, when you are emptied out, now you allow yourself to be filled with what you should be filled with. And that's definitely not unforgiveness or shame or regret or guilt. Here's what I want you to understand about the season that you are in. When you go through genuine deep healing, all the things that used to drive you tends to lose its grip. The fear that kept you performing, the shame that made you change things just to feel worthy, the guilt that had you constantly over-explaining yourself, those things begin to fall away. And at first that can feel strange, because a lot of us have been motivated by pain for so long that we genuinely do not know what motivates us when the pain is gone. We do not know how to exist without someone to outrun, because we have lived life on that adrenaline, on that rush for so long. And when we are no longer part of that, or when we have healed that or let go of that, now what? What drives us? What gives us the adrenaline to keep going? What motivates us to keep going? But hear me on this. Being emptied out is not a problem. It is preparation. Think about a cup that has been filled with muddy water for years. Before you can fill it with something clean and life-giving, you have to empty it. That is what your healing season was doing. It was not only removing pain, it was making room for purpose. Psalm 23 verse 3 tells us, He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for His name's sake. He restores. That word matters. He gives back what was taken, your peace, your clarity, your sense of self, your joy. He does not just patch the wound. He restores the life that existed before the wound. So when I tell you that when I talk about the before and the after, I addressed this in a previous video, that when you were growing up or when you were born into this world, there were environments, situations that you were exposed to. And all of this conditioned who you became. Whether it was the parenting style your parents took on, whether it was the actual environment that you grew up in, or the different contexts and experiences that you were exposed to, all of this contributed to how you viewed the world. It contributed to how you thought about the world, how you made assumption about things. And gradually, what happens is that we are infiltrated more by the external than we are with what's happening on the internal. And so we get conditioned, our minds get conditioned. I'm going to do a separate video on the different aspects that we talk about today. And one of them would be the conditioning of the mind, and how our alignment with the purpose for our lives brings us to that place of not operating from a conditioned mind any longer, from understanding it and moving past it. So when you are in that in-between space right now, where the old you is gone but the new has not fully arrived, do not rush it, because all of these things are taking place. Everything that you thought were true might not even be true. For instance, when I was growing up as a child, I very often perceived certain things in a particular way because of my socio-economic circumstances. The fact that I was brought up in a poor home influenced the way I viewed the world. It influenced how I saw money. It influenced how I handled money. It influenced how I saw other homes or other children that were better off than me. So this all creates a way of how we function, how we perceive life, because all of that conditioned us as we grew up. And if you are in this in-between place where we are now releasing all of that, and we're trying to have your mind renewed from all of that conditioning, It's not a place of brokenness. It's all part of the healing that you are going through. You're between chapters, and that is one of the most important places you will ever stand. Because this is where the rebuild happens. This is where the new mindset emerges. This is where the new person, the new outlook, the new view emerges. So who were you before the world got to you? The rebuild is not about becoming someone brand new. So get rid of that idea that you are becoming this brand new person. I would rather say you are returning to who you were meant to be. It is about returning to someone ancient, the version of you that existed before the conditioning, before someone told you that you were too much or not enough, before trauma rewired the way you saw yourself, before the world and all its rules told you who you are meant to be. Think back, even though the fog of everything that happened to you, can you remember a time when you were just free? A time when you laughed without shame, created without judgment, dreamed without limits? That was the real you. And that person did not disappear. They just got buried under years of surviving. This is what I'm trying to tell you, that you are not becoming a brand new person. In a way, yes, but you are returning to the person that you were meant to be before you were so influenced by all the external sources. So the rebuild is the process of excavating that person. So bringing out that person again, digging up for that person again. So you excavate. It's like digging in deeper, bringing out who that person is, dusting them off, giving them room to breathe, grow, and lead their lives. You have been so pressured and pressed down by these external factors that you probably have not had the opportunity to just feel that you are breathing freely and openly, where you had the opportunity not to make decisions from pressure and stress. Jeremiah 1:5 tells us, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I mentioned this before, that this is echoed in Psalm 139, where the Bible tells us that we are fearfully and wonderfully made in His image. God knew you before any of this happened to you, any of the conditioning, any of these external circumstances that influenced and contributed to who you became. He knew that all of this would happen to you. He knew that this would take place as you walk this human experience. So this means that there is a version of you that predates every wound, every label, every failure. So before all of those things took place to you, all the pain, the hurt, the shame, the guilt, the grief, the unforgiveness, there was a whole person. The rebuild starts with a simple but powerful question. Who were you before the world told you who to be? And who do you want to be now that you have the freedom to choose? Now that you're aware that healing needs to take place. So you could be in two different places right now. At the beginning of your healing journey, working towards the rebuild, or you could be in the middle of the rebuild. Either way, you have to be aware of what you're going through and why you're going through it, and make the choice of seeing it through, so that you can come onto the other side of the person that was influenced to become the person that you were meant to be. So how do we do this? What are some practical steps to this freedom? The steps to finding our true selves, rebuilding that true self. So, to be practical with you, inspiration without direction leaves us feeling good but going nowhere. So you could listen to this video, resonate with it, feel good about it, and then do nothing about it. So here are some steps that actually move you through the rebuild, and I would suggest that you consider them. So save the video, go back to these practical steps and start the journey. Step 1. Pray for alignment. This is where it starts, not with a plan, not with a vision board, with prayer. Before you decide where you are going, ask God where He is leading you. That immediately shifts the focus from you taking the pressure to God leading and guiding and being in control of the process. That's a very big difference, because if you take all the pressure on yourself, it's not only pressurizing, but it is also stressful, and it can create worry and anxiety. Where else, if you throw this onto God, give this to God, lay it down at the cross, you're giving responsibility to Him to show you, to guide you, and your part in that is to believe He will do so. The world will tell you to hustle towards your goals, but the rebuild is not about forcing. It is about alignment. There is a path that was designed specifically for you, for your gifts, for your story, for the exact things you have been through. And prayer is how you tune into that frequency, in order to understand what you have fully put on this earth for, to fully understand your giftings, your skills, your abilities. Prayer will help you have a clearer picture on those aspects. Practically build a daily prayer life. Practice that specifically. Ask God to show you your purpose. Pray it consistently. Write down what comes to you. Be honest about your desires, because God placed those desires in you for a reason. Do not perform your prayers, just talk. Tell Him where you are. Tell Him what you are afraid of. Tell Him you are ready. Proverbs 3 verses 5 to 6 tells us exactly this. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your paths. The Bible is clearly telling you, bring it to me, pray to me, give me your plans, commit them to me, let me direct you, let me give you direction, understanding, let me clear the path for you, let me see that you are walking on the right path. Lean not on your own understanding. This means stop trying to figure it all out in your head. Surrender the map and walk with the one who knows that territory. And He knows it better than anybody else. So give Him the driver's seat and maybe become a passenger. You'll find that the drive is so much more enjoyable and the scenery so much more beautiful. Step 2, reclaim your mind. For years, maybe decades, your mind was occupied by rumination over shame, occupied by replaying moments of failure, occupied by anxiety about what people thought of you, occupied by guilt that never seemed to leave. That mental real estate is now available, and what you choose to do with it will determine the quality of your rebuild. You have your mind back. Use it on purpose. Feed it things that expand you. Read books that challenge your thinking. Listen to teachers and conversations like these that open new doors. Spend time thinking about problems you can help solve, contributions you can make, and gifts that you can develop. There's a lot to do in the rebuild, but the focus should be on yourself. The focus should be on how I expand my thinking. How do I learn? How do I develop? How do I grow? And this will all replace the old ways and old patterns of behaviors and output. And intentionally guard what you let in. The content you consume will shape the vision you carry. If you're still surrounding yourself with noise, with drama, with content designed to keep you anxious and scrolling your mind, will not have the clarity that it needs to hear the call on your life and the purpose that you are meant to fulfill. Romans 12:2 tells us, do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is. If there's too much of clutter, and if there's not enough space, not just physical space, but mental space. It'll be difficult for you to have mental clarity on where you're going and what purpose God has for you. The renewing of your mind is not passive, it's active. It takes intention every single day. But when your mind is clear and directed towards purpose, the path ahead becomes so much easier to see. Step 3. And this one is very, very difficult for people, but it's important. It's letting go of people that are not aligned with you. This one is going to sting for some of you, but it needs to be said. When you heal, you step into the rebuild. Not everyone is going to be able to come with you. You've probably heard this before. And it's not always because they are bad people. Know that. You're not leaving people behind because they are bad. Sometimes it's just that they are in a different season. They're probably still growing, still needing to be aware that they need to go through healing. And if you are moving faster than that, you don't need to be held behind. You need to go on your own journey. You need to allow your own process. Their comfort zone is a version of you that no longer exists. And you'll find there'll be frustration with this. You'll notice especially with close relationships, they don't fulfill you in the way they used to. And you'll find that you grow frustrated by the conversations that you are having because you are no longer in that space. You've moved on from it. That doesn't make the person bad. That just shows that you are no longer in that space. You have grown and you're moving from it. The rebuild requires, and when you change, when you grow, when you set new boundaries and make new choices, some people will feel threatened by that. Some will pull away, some will try to pull you back, and you need to stay strong. You have to let them go with love, without guilt, without apology. It's for your own growth. The rebuild requires relationships that fuel your growth, not relationships that drain it. Look around at the people closest to you and ask yourself honestly, do these relationships call out the best in me, or do they keep me comfortable with being less? Those are two important questions. And if any of those questions has a yes response, you need to rethink it. And it's probably time to let go of those relationships. Do not be misled. This, it's also very important for me to state this at this point. This is not about cutting people off harshly or without compassion. It means you becoming very intentional about who gets access to you. And there's a difference in that. Who gets access to your energy, your time, your inner world. Your circle after healing needs to match the life you're rebuilding. So that's important. And you'll find that your circle is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. All I can tell you is be okay with it. It's for your own benefit. And you'll actually appreciate the peace that it comes with. Because I'm in that space. And even though the circle has gotten so small, the peace is immeasurable that I have received now that I've been obedient. Surround yourself with people who are growing, who are praying, who are building. Iron sharpens iron. Let the people around you make you sharper, not softer in ways that do not deserve you. Step 4. This is very important as well. It's important for you to document your small wins, because healing doesn't happen overnight. We live in a world that glorifies the big moments, the breakthrough, the overnight transformation, the dramatic pivot. And because we are waiting for something big to happen, we dismiss every small thing that is already happening. But the rebuild does not happen in one dramatic moment. It happens in the accumulation of thousands of small, faithful choices. And it's through those choices you'll notice that you are gradually changing, that you're no longer the former you, that there are gradual shifts, gradual transformation taking place on a daily basis. They might be small, but they're taking place. The day you choose not to go back to the old coping mechanism, the day you spoke up for yourself, the day you said no to something misaligned and did not feel guilty, the day you spent an hour doing something that genuinely lights you up, those are wins. Those are wins. Document them. Keep a daily journal, even if it's just 3 sentences, where you record one small win from the day, one thing you did that moved you forward, one thing you are grateful for, one moment where you showed up differently than the old you would have. Over time, those pages become proof that you were actually changing. And on the hard days, you will need the proof. So document it or record it, and then you can go back and listen or read on the days that you feel that this is becoming unbearable. In Luke 16:20, the Bible tells us, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. Show faithfulness in the little things. God builds on faithfulness in the small things. Your daily wins are not small to Him. They are the building blocks of everything He is preparing you for. Honor them. Step 5. See life through a new lens. Before healing, everything was filtered through your wounds, through your interpreted people's behavior, through the lens of rejection. You saw opportunity through the lens of unworthiness. You read life through the lens that this will probably hurt me. After healing, the filter changes. You start to see possibilities where you once saw danger. You start to notice grace where you once expected punishment. You start to read people with more compassion because you understand what it is to be someone who is struggling on the inside while holding it together on the outside. You'll find that you'll be more compassionate towards people, far more compassionate than you were previously, because now you understand the struggles more when you start to face your own. Corinthians 13:12 tells us, now we see only a reflection as in a mirror, but then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. You are becoming someone who sees more clearly, and what you are seeing with that clarity is your actual life, not the version the world handed you, the version God intended for you. And you will start to see the path more clearly that was designed for you. It will not look the way you expected it. It really does. But you will feel a peacefulness about it. One that you cannot fully explain. A peace that surpasses understanding. And what I suggest is get comfortable with that peace. Because that's helping you become the version of who you were meant to be for your plan and purpose on this earth. And the only reason it might feel uncomfortable or it might feel like not knowing is because you've not had that before. It was buried under all your shame and your grief and unforgiveness and fear. And now you are pushing through faith. So your lens is going to be new. You'll be viewing life and people and situation and things differently. Go with it. And if it does make you uncomfortably, most times it's because it's feelings that you've never felt before. Maybe you don't even know what peace feels like. And it's only through the healing process that you will finally understand and know what peace feels like eventually. Step 6. Use your story to help build others. Here's something profound about the rebuild. The very things you went through, the shame, the grief, the rock bottom moments, become the most powerful tools you have to impact someone else's life. You did not go through all of that just for yourself. You went through it so you could reach back and grab someone else's hand. So when they are sitting in the dark place you once sat in, they can look at you and believe that there is a way through. And I have been there. And reason I'm making these videos. There is a way through and you come out on the other side. All I can tell you is that the healing process is not comfortable. It's painful. But when you document the small wins in your life, you will see what was taking place even in those moments of pain. Now that I have come through it and I've come out on the other side, I have a new peace within me that I can't explain. I'm viewing life through a completely different lens, and it's beautiful because now you view others and situations through compassion and love rather than coming from a place of contempt and brokenness. Your story is not your liability, it is your ministry. That does not mean you have to broadcast your trauma publicly or share more than you are ready to share. It simply means you stay open, stay available. When someone around you is struggling, do not look away, lean in. Offer what you know, be honest about your journey. The healing you carry can transfer. As the Bible tells us, praise be to God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of compassion and the God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our troubles, so that we can comfort others. 2 Corinthians 1 verses 3 to 4. God comforted you so that you can comfort others. That is the design. You are not the end of the line. You are a link in a chain that stretches further than you can see. And your story matters. You matter. Your healing journey matters because it can impact somebody else. And the reason I'm making these videos at almost age 50 is hoping that my stories, my healing journey, my experiences can help you in some way. Part 4, be kind and patient with yourself. I need to say something that I do not want you to rush through your healing. The rebuild is not a race. There is no deadline. There is no finish line. You're supposed to have crossed by now. And the most dangerous thing you can do in the season is compare your process to someone else's progress. Do not make comparisons. We don't know why healing takes place differently with different people. We just have to trust our journey, trust and have faith in our path, and know that we're going through it in the way that God sees it best for us. You are going to have days where you feel like the old you is pulling you back. Even now, there are days where I have certain pulls to the past, but sometimes I feel like it's just reminding me. I think it's very important of how you view it. For me, it reminds me of how far I've come. And I immediately turn it into gratitude, thanking God and saying, I'm so grateful that I've come so far with my life. So when you find that you're being pulled to the past, view it through the lens of how far you've come. Days where you slip into old patterns and wonder if the healing actually took place. Days where you cannot feel God and cannot see the path and cannot remember where you started this. Those are the part of the process, not evidence that the process is broken. It's only part of the process. Those days are only part of the process. It's not saying that you are still broken. It's not saying that healing is not taking place. That's why document the small wins. Document it. So on those days that it's feeling extra hard, you can go back and see how far you've come. You can read some of the small wins that are taking place. Be kind to yourself, the way you would be kind to someone else you love who is learning something new. You would not yell at a child learning to walk when they fall. You would not hold out your hand and tell them to try again when a child falls. Would you not do that? Give yourself the same grace. Just as a child falls and you hold out your hand to help that child stand up and walk, give yourself the same grace. On days when it's hard, or you go back to old patterns, or you have old thinking habits, don't be hard on yourself. It's all part of the process. Be kind to yourself. Gently, just remind yourself to be present, that your past is over, that you've healed through it, that the Lord is with you, and that you are a brand new creation in Jesus Christ. And be patient. Real change is happening in you right now, even when you cannot see it, even when it feels slow, even when it feels like nothing is different. Something is being built that will last, because it is being built properly. One day of faithful, honest living at a time will build a lasting and strong foundation within you. Galatians 6:9 tells us, and let us not grow weary in well-doing, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. I have been in a waiting season now for the last few months. It's not even weeks anymore. It's the last few months. And some days it's hard when you don't have an absolute clear picture. But every day the picture does become a little clearer. And what's amazing about this waiting period is knowing that every day, even though you cannot see a full picture ahead of you, even though you might not see the full picture of even all that you have healed from, you know that something has changed. You know there's a difference. You know you carry a contentment and a peace that can only be given to you by your higher power. And that's what motivates me to give the best version of myself every day. And making videos like this and helping others is purposeful for me. It makes me feel like I'm doing something for somebody else. So if you're taking the time to listen to these videos, thank you for your time. If they are helping you, it would be good for you to leave a comment so we can stand together in community. And do not give up, not on God, not on the process, and not on yourself. Like I've said before, I write down all my thoughts. I'm reading from a script that's on the left-hand side of me on my and I read from the script so that things would read in a logical and coherent manner, and that I don't forget important points that I want to make to you. And I find the script keeps me structured, and so that's what I'm reading from the left-hand side, like I've mentioned in other videos too. Secondly, there is background noise for my little pup. He's an indoor dog. He's a little Maltese. I've posted pictures of him before, and he's also in one of my videos. Again, be kind to yourself. Be patient with the process. If you haven't started the healing journey as yet, and you came across this video, I would suggest that you go back to the videos on healing before you come to the video of rebuild. This is episode 1 of a series of videos that I'm going to be making on the rebuild, where I will be talking about the individual aspects that we have to deal with before we can feel or know that we have reached a place of healing. And one of those things, and I've spoken quite a bit about it in this video, is conditioning. So my next video, episode 2 on the rebuild, is how to get rid of the conditioned mind. We will be looking at this more deeply through the lens of the Bible and through the lens of my faith in Jesus. If you're interested, that will be episode 2. Once again, thank you. Thank you for your time. I will see you in the next video. Take care for now.